You are now listening to N21FM, a Pokemon podcast. I'm your host, Glenn, as always, joined by my wonderful co-host, Johnny, and we are joined this week by a longtime friend of the show, Zack. This is the Atlanta episode. I do want to make a quick preface. We were originally going to be joined by James, another previous guest on the show, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, he's not quite able to join us, and we want to keep all that stuff private for the time being, so just keep it quiet and respect his privacy in this time. He has not done anything. It's just a circumstance that we're letting him focus on himself for this episode. So unfortunately, we're not able to have him join us, but we're still excited. There is going to be a lot of good talks this episode about what's going on in Atlanta, or I guess we don't know what's going on, but rather what we're bringing up there, how we're planning to take everything on, and how we got to the deck that we're bringing. But before we get into all that, Johnny, Zach, how are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I tweaked my shoulder earlier, maybe, but I'm working through it.
Remind me what you did to your shoulder again?
I think I just slept on it wrong. That's usually the answer.
It's the worst. It's terrible that as human beings we can do the default thing that we're supposed to do incorrectly by sleeping wrong. It's always bothered me. Zach, what about you, buddy? How are you doing?
I'm good. Just same old, hanging in there.
Glad to hear
what
it.
You got to do.
Yeah, you're in different scenery this time. Last time we spoke with you, you were in a previous location. You moved, right?
Yeah, my partner and I moved in January.
Nice.
I think. It's been great. Yeah, it's a bigger place. We actually have our own office, which is nice.
So
Before
cool.
We were recording from the living room, but yeah, it's great.
The upgrade from living room to office space proper is such a huge glow up.
It's massive.
It's the best feeling.
Yes,
truly.
It's so comfortable.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Well, gang, we've got a lot to cover. I wanted to kind of start. We already kind of mentioned what's going on with James. I want to just remind everybody, if you want specifically, since we're kind of down on a smaller group, I do want to remind everybody for Zach's interview, if you want their full original one-on-one between me and them, that is an older episode. Oh, goodness, I don't remember exactly which one. I want to say you were like our 4th or 5th episode, though.
Something like that.
Very early on. Please check it out. The episode is called Blue Collar Palkia. It's one of my favorite titles. I love it a lot. But a classic from the podcast. So be absolutely sure to check out that episode. And a little bit of housekeeping, of course. Be sure to go to patreon.com/terminalcreative if you want to support the show. It helps us to just kind of continue what we're doing, and it means a lot. It also gives you early access to every episode, as well as access to bonus content, including N21 Plus, our 21 and up, 18 and up, cut loose, more casual podcast, where we talk about some other fun stuff, as well as what we're doing outside of just the Pokemon TCG. Also be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And now that we've spent an exorbitant amount of time doing housekeeping, let's talk about Atlanta. So Zach, I want to actually begin by thanking you. We we're a little directionless when I knew we were all kind of like talking about like wanting to group up and kind of have the same 60, or at least figure out a list. And you took it upon yourself to bring the attention of the group towards TerraBox, which and definitely like helped to do a lot of the refining of the list. I think the 60 that we have today would not be the same 60 that we're running if it weren't for you. So I definitely want to thank you for that. Tell me about what kind of led you to this, because I know you've previously been a big Dragapult fan, and a couple of other cool decks were on your radar. But since a lot of the decision-making process behind how we wound up on TerraBox fell on you, like, talk to me about that.
Yeah. Well, I think like most people, it came on the radar from the results of the Champions League, where lots of high-level players, Tord Reklev and Rahul Reddy and all sorts of other players, along with some Japanese players, played the Terabox deck to that tournament. And just looking at it, it's just like kind of cool looking. You get to like utilize this like weird like toolbox of like different attackers that have like coincidentally just popped up in other random decks, like the Wellspring Ogerpon, the Pikachu, the Terapagos. It's just kind of thought it would like looked interesting, and it obviously did well because it comprised a decent chunk of that top 16. And if if Tort's playing, it's got to be pretty dang good.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not always convinced.
Well, true. Yeah, Champ. He had to. He played Hydreigon once, so like who knows? But
true.
But yeah, I was like big on Dragapult for like a long time, especially like when it first came out. I was like a huge Dragapult player, and then I played it a lot in the last format when Badoo came out. So I was thinking like initially I was like, okay, Dragapult seems really good, and then I want to try this Terabox deck out and see how that goes. So like those are like the two front runners in my brain. And then after just like trying it, the first time we tried to like do testing, I was like, holy moly, this deck is like bananas. Like you can literally do anything, anytime you want. And that just kind of like excited me. It also like felt kind of like Lost Box in that like it's like very intricate. It has like a lot of small moving pieces that you have to keep track of, and it has like this like vast array of options and attackers. So it kind of like tickled my brain the same way, which is like very appealing to me personally, I think.
No, I so get that. I'm a big Johnny and I have been on. This is also the Sablezard gang. The three of us are those who pioneered the Sablezard list that Johnny and I have been coping on for the last month or so. And it definitely does scratch that itch. It just feels like you're playing Lost Zone with 7 in the Lost Zone turn 1. And then,
pretty much constantly.
Yeah, and then
it's like instead of Colress, you just put the Owl down, and it just gives you the 2 cards you want.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, it also scratches my Shady Dealings Inteleon itch that I have too. It's the best of both worlds for me. This is like they took 2 excellent D through F block engines and were like, what if we put them together?
Yeah, it's really good.
I love that. And then you said that we were starting on specifically this, right? Were there any other deck lists that you were thinking about, or?
Oh yeah,
you said you talked about Dragapult at first.
Yeah, I think when we first started testing, my initial thoughts were like, okay, Dragapult's something I'm comfortable with, so like that's something I want to like think about bringing to the group. And then this is something that's like new and interesting, so that's something I think we should like consider, especially since it did so well. It's like it immediately became like on the radar, so it was like something that we were going to consider building and bringing to like our sessions.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just from there, just kind of ended up just like enjoying the deck as playing it. I think we just started with the Toward 60, like can't go wrong when you start with the Toward 60.
True.
And then made alterations based on like what we thought was going to be more commonplace. Like wall decks were also like very popular at the Champions League. We have like people in our local scene that like play wall decks, so it's like something we wanted to be prepared for. So
yeah, we have a lot of people in our scene playing like stall and wall, which is crazy.
Yes,
it's really unfortunate.
I know. We have a very control heavy scene here in Charlotte, unfortunately.
I keep forgetting that.
But that's kind of like where we added those cards in. We like made some tweaks from there, and then we wanted to like find different ways to make the deck feel more either consistent or more versatile, to where you don't have to like use crisp in every turn. That's where we landed on different changes, like the energy counts, double earthen vessel, etc.
Definitely.
What other? I don't know, man. What other lists, I guess, were we throwing around too? Because I feel like we had tossed around maybe the idea of like Raging Bolt outside of like this thing a little bit, and like why that was kind of like not a pick. But what other ones were you like maybe dead set on?
I think we just didn't do Bolt because we all hate Bolt.
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah, we're all just certified Bolt haters.
That's true. Which is why I've seen some people even running like double Clefairy for that exact.
Oh my god!
I think that's a little much.
Like it's like nothing to do with how good the deck is or not. Just hate that guy.
Yeah,
no, that's fair.
Not a fan. That is Melman.
Yeah,
and I do not want to be around him.
I do not need that Neckman. Neckman out.
Neckman out for sure. We threw around a lot of decks. Johnny, you were on. You've been on a couple of ideas. I know specifically.
I threw around, yeah. Oh man, I threw around Gardevoir, and I kind of came back to that a little bit recently, but I don't think that's real.
It's sad. I miss Guardy being good.
I think like post rotation Gardevoir is not a bad card and not a bad deck, but it's just like it just doesn't do enough right now.
Right.
And then on top of that, like obviously we have like just what was it, Wellspring Mask. That just
Wellspring is so good.
Controls so much of the meta by itself.
I think like the biggest downside of Guardy right now is that kind of like how it always has, it has to like kind of play from behind and then mount the comeback. Like kind of the whole thing about how it works is that you kind of like let them take a couple prizes and then you just want to like CC Stamp or CC Iono and then just stick something and then just like Screamtail their board a bunch.
Yeah.
And the downside is that Dragapult also does that and does it kind of like in some ways better, I think.
Yeah. Way better.
Especially with like they can use Dusknoir and stuff like that. So it's like it does it from two different fronts that Guardy can't even like start with immediately.
True.
Imagine
a universe where Gardevoir played Dusknoir. I'd be sick to my stomach.
They could Dusknoir Retreat Lock. They could use the attack.
True. Wait.
They can 150 Retreat Lock your guy.
And then once you Retreat Lock, blow themselves and you up. It'll be awesome.
Should be cool.
Don't actually do this. Don't take this advice, Gardevoir players. This is not legal advice.
Psychic Embrace is just a good ability, though, man. It's like if you find a way to make it work, it'll still be like at least like playable, you know?
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm excited to see how it does once Mega Guardy comes out.
Yeah.
That'll be really interesting.
I'm kind of turned on like the idea of like Shaman just being in the list in general, but you know, I think that's going to solve a lot of the issues, but that's for another format.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's one other.
Shaman's also a positive for it because it doesn't protect like
true.
EX bench guys. So like Screamtail is still like live against your like Squawk and stuff in ways that like other decks can't snipe in that same way.
Yeah. It definitely makes that feel more valuable. I kind of like the idea of that too. I'm definitely gonna cook with that a little bit after Atlanta.
I can't wait to have Shaman back in the format. I like that they they continue to print all the bench barriers are little cutie patooties, except for like, well, that's not exactly true. They just printed Thunderous that was also bench barrier.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's also I've actually got it somewhere in a stack in front of me right here. The weird looking
the Rabska.
I was just Mr. Mime.
I think he's a cutie.
I was gonna say they started with just like Weirdo Man, Mr. Mime, and then they were just like, hold up, we got to make these little guys now.
Ew.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I don't like this version of Mr. Mime. This is like the worst one, and I don't really like Mr. Mime as a Pokemon. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Mr. Mime is nightmare fuel.
Did you guys ever play Legends Arceus?
No, I never got the game. I need to. I want to.
If you roll up on a Mr. Mime in that game in the wild, he'll like mime sitting in a chair and cracking open a cold one.
That's awesome.
It's so sick. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get the game just to experience that. That'll be so.
It's so cool.
You know what's occurred to me? We were talking about it briefly. I want to kind of circle back to it. Wellspring Ogerpon is so good in this deck and just in this format in general, right? Like especially in this time where we don't have a consistent bench barrier turn one. This card is bonkers when you're able to get it off. Like for multiple reasons. Like having Retreat Lock for 1 energy or no energy if you have Crystal, and then having Torrential Pump exist is just so good. I remember distinctly I was like trading with somebody at Get Some, and I had 2 water ponds and neither of them were being played at the time. And they were like, hey, can I trade for your spare? And I just gave it away because in my exact words were, I'm never gonna play 2 water Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, so why do I need both? And here I am.
I did that with Entei V. I traded away 2. I did that with 2 of the play promo stamped ones. Like I'm never gonna play Charizard. I'm never gonna play an Entei V deck.
Dang.
And then I needed it like a half a year later, like 7 months later.
That's so sad. It's always
suddenly
like that
Entei
too.
Valiant's a thing. And...
Yeah. It's always that exact situation too. Because I got rid of like a full art Professor Turo scenario as well. Like I was sitting here like, I wish I had that so bad right now.
Oh man, but, I mean, when I first was like buying cards and everything, I bought the Paldean Fates ETB, and I hit a judge on it.
I
Full
love
art.
that judge art.
Bear
That
Judge
judge
full
art
art.
is
Bear
so
Judge.
good.
But oh man, I needed like 4 judge for a deck, and I only had 3, so I just threw him in a deck, and it was like, why am I playing with this guy? This is not a good idea for my card like this, unless I have like 4 of that or something. So
I need to get 4 of that card. It's so sick.
Oh,
I ended
man.
up buying them all from Rally. Like Rally had them for $1 each one time just for Arctina.
That's so sick. Yeah, that's such a sick art. I don't want to talk too much about it because at the end of the day, this is mostly an audio experience. Although most of our viewers are on YouTube, but you guys are the one we're talking about. The judge where Zack was doing the pose a second ago, where he's like crossing his arms. It's such a dynamic
cool.
art. I love the lighting. The red in that is such a pleasing red too. Oh man, I've been getting big into design, and so like seeing that, like the color composition on that, I'm like, ooh, this is nice.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's what's interesting about Wellspring Mask. Going back to that is that it does 2 things really, really well that are big weaknesses in the format now, and that's like it snipes when we don't have bench barrier, and it retreat locks when decks are not playing switching cards.
That's true.
It's very true.
So it's like a very multi-purpose busted card. Like it has like a lot of it has the 2 different applications that are like very praised very easily on things that are like absent in the format, I think.
Yeah. Well, what's so interesting about it is like it's an effect that wouldn't even really be abated the severity of if people were just playing more Switch, right? Like because there's also the ever-present threat of Badu in that like people aren't going to play 1-0 Switch because they're like, oh, the one turn I need it, I'm probably going to be item locked. And so it's very much like the Spiritomb Mew VMAX problem where people were like, oh, enough people are going to play Spiritomb that people won't be playing Mew, so I won't play Spiritomb. And then you end up needing the Spiritomb. It's like it is exactly that situation where like the head games of the back and forth of like, oh, somebody's going to be playing Badu, so I won't play Switch, and then they need the Switch because of Wellspring Mask. It's
the situation only sucks when it's respected.
Yeah, exactly.
The minute they don't respect it, it becomes good again.
Exactly. No, for sure. I find that situation happens a lot in this game, is that because deck building is so like there's so many valuable and like potent decks in the format that like there is a hard deck building check. And that is part of what I was running defense for Stallax, I think last week, in that only in it's an important conversation to have, is like part of the skill expression in Pokemon as a TCG is making a good deck that is able to handle any threat you throw at it. And so having something that does like check your ability to have a Turo or a Switch card in there, like that's important.
Yeah,
for
very
sure.
much.
Before we dive, I think, too deep into the deck, because I think we also were mentioning a couple of the lists that we had considered, and I feel like this kind of ties in with that previous conversation of like respecting the Switch option. Zack, you were on just for a little bit the Feraligatr deck.
Ooh,
I kind of wanted to touch on like why maybe you pulled away from that one, because it definitely was a cool deck, and I feel like it kind of accomplishes a similar niche to what Wellspring Mask does.
Yeah. Okay. Feraligatr, like it. 2 big reasons. One, it's Feraligatr. It's a big alligator man. I love that guy in gold and silver. My go-to guy since I was a baby. From Louisiana, so I got to do Gator representation every chance. Love that boy, Totodile.
I love it.
And 2,
he's so
very
dumb.
Annoying. I love being annoying when I play this game.
Yeah, same.
Why be good when you can be annoying? Sometimes that's just good enough.
Yeah.
Reason I moved away from it is because it's bad.
Okay, yeah. Understandable. It's a good reason to move away from it.
The deck is insane, and it's also one of those decks that has like an insane bevy of options just based on what you can do with the Relicanth. Like giving the ability for you to do every attack in that line, which is relevant, like the baby bench locks, the middle guy lets you hit and run, and the big guy just like blows anything up. And then it also self-damages for Monkey Dory, which is also like bananas. Like you don't even have to attach energy to Feraligatr to do things. If you just like sit behind Mimikyu or stick something in the active and just like start monkeying, It's like
Wait, I've never considered you can use the ability to just put the damage on.
it is bananas. Like if something
That's
can't
so
get through
hype.
Mimikyu, like if you're playing Bolt or something and they don't have access to Slitherwing, or if they have like
Mhm.
if they use their boss or whatever, you can just sit behind Mimikyu and just monkey all day long. It's like
That's
insane.
so sick.
But
I mean,
because
that,
of
like-
all of that, like it's all of power guys and you have no draw power. So like
Okay.
it's really
Yeah.
hard to like be consistent in that deck if you're not hitting everything you need like within a reasonable window of you needing it.
Dang.
That's
We just
super fair.
reprint Irida and then we put the Quaquaval in from Surging Sparks, and then I think we're good.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, the put it on the bottom of the deck guy.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of
Yep.
cool.
that'd be hype.
That's
I miss water guys being good. Like speaking of which, this was when we talked about only for a brief moment because it was kind of a meme. But James brought up Baxcalibur Wailord, and I remember that being
Yeah.
so sick for a moment, just because it seemed like better Chenpao. But then we just weren't able to get energy out of the deck sometimes. But
Yeah.
it's still crazy cool having just a gigantic whale, just that's only giving up one prize. That's just crazy to me. And it's able to like get your rain dance. It's standard rain dance build,
Yeah.
but
I mean, it's good.
It's good, yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely wish that deck was better so that we could play it. It'd be a fun cup deck for sure.
It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like that's a one prize guy and he has more HP than Iron Hands.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like why?
That's so
nuts.
That's I love it. I love when they just print giant Wailords and like the Satitan that's coming out. The Satitan EX is
Oh
gonna be
yeah.
Yeah.
gigantic. That's gonna be ridiculous.
How much HP does that thing have? It's
I
got
think
like
like
280 or something.
300,
it has
I think.
Is it
300.
300?
I think
Is
it's
it? It's
yeah, he's like
it's
the
a
bridge.
March. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man.
He's like our and
Jeez.
Regigigas V-Star before him. Wild. And then another one that I have been having to like to fight the demons inside of me to get me to not play this deck is actually what James is on. Shout out James. Is he's playing Golden Go EX. He's kind of switching back and forth right now on which alternate attacker he wants. He's a big fan of the Dunsparce engine, but at first he was playing Scizor. Just baby Scizor from what, 151?
Yes.
I think it's
Obsidian
so.
Flames, I think.
Is it Obsidian Flames?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the Obsidian Flames. 151
Okay.
is the 80 HP.
Ah, that's right.
Obsidian
But-
Flames is free retreat.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh yeah, Punishing Scissors.
Mhm.
That is
Mhm.
Obsidian Flames. Also, that's the one that you can get the shiny one. I like that one a lot
Yes.
better.
Mhm.
Oh, or just the full art from Obsidian Flames. That thing's
The full art is
crazy.
It's
Crazy.
menacing looking. It's
Yeah,
very
that looks
mean.
It looks evil. In
Yeah.
fact. But yeah, that for those who don't know, Punishing Scissors does for one metal does 10 damage, and then it does 50 more for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. And if you haven't seen our list, there's a lot of guys in there who play with abilities. Sometimes who aren't even doing anything. So that Scizor was really, really. I was thinking heavy about doing Golden Go. Ultimately, I think I'm going to stick with this because I'm more familiar with the engine, and because I don't want to pay $30 to get 3 new Golden Goes a week before we're
Yeah.
going to Atlanta, and also learn the deck in that time. But James has been cooking with Golden Go for a long time anyway, so I definitely hope to see him do well. I hope that nobody else playing that deck is as good as him because it is scary when I face down against him.
Yeah.
And he knows
That's a
how to
big
play the
part of my
matchup.
logic going into it is just like if I can do okay against James, I think I could beat any other Golden Go player.
Truly,
Yeah.
he's the golden goat. Like it really
Yes.
is the case.
I've
he
played
scares
against
me.
other Golden Go players in multiple locations between like here in Tampa, and James is by and far like the best
Head and
that I've played
shoulders.
against.
What you know what it is? It's because he came from Yu-Gi-Oh! And so now he's like, oh, I can just draw a bunch of cards. I'm in.
Yeah.
And so as a result, he's just riding the high of drawing
Yeah.
more cards than he's ever seen in his life. And that's what's
This
carrying
Pokemon
him
just
to the
has
wins.
Pot of Greed as an ability.
Yeah, the sequencing puzzles involved are just Yu-Gi-Oh combos. He just like rattles them off.
Yep.
He loves
Yep.
it. It's awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I definitely did consider running Golden Go. But I don't think I will. Also, I love having a million goobers that we can do a bunch of stuff with. It's so cool to just watch, like, this is the Avengers Endgame deck list where you've got from, like, so many different generations and, like, all kinds of different abilities and effects and typings, a bunch of different, like, gimmicks and stuff too.
Yeah.
It's like, also just it's interesting to watch the game evolve over time, because if you would have told me that I'd be taking a deck with 3 E-switch in it to Atlanta, like at this time last year, I would have told you you're crazy.
Yeah, because E-switch was like not played except for like in Roaring Moon, right? At this time last year.
Yeah, it was one of those cards
Pretty
that I was
much.
sure was like, oh, they only reprinted this because they had to, because it was like Pokeball. Like, this card is not good, and now I'm playing 3 of them, and I'm regretting getting rid of my gold one that I pulled out of a pack. Like,
yeah,
it's a bummer, because I'm like, now those are probably worth something, but I was just like, this is 40 cents. Get it out of here.
Yeah, I actually have like 2 individual ETBs of bulk from the first 2 sets, like Scarlet Violet and Paldea Evolved, when I was like really buying packs when I first started playing.
Yeah.
And I did not even move E-switch into my playables box. They were still in the bulk.
Yeah, they were still bulk back then. It's crazy how the game has changed in that way. Absolutely wild. So with that stuff, let's kind of dive into what makes our deck different. Because it's not the exact Toward 60. We definitely used it as a good base. But there's some cool stuff in here that I think we do better than a lot of other lists. And I think it's important to kind of go over those things and why we think they're better. First of all, the most important and most obvious is Splup Ditto, aka Transformative Start Ditto from 151. That card is mandatory in this and in Galapagos. Like, if you're running anything that has Fan Rotom, you need to be running Transformative Start Ditto. I just put a video out on Tank Galapagos, and you should, like, it's in there too. It's a mandatory include if you're running the Fan Rotom and not.
If you're playing Bolt, play Splup. If you're playing Flareon, play Splup.
True.
Playing Terrapagos, play Splup. Like, if you're playing Fan Rotom, you need that guy in there. He's just
it's
just getting whatever you want is crazy.
It's like it's a 5th nest ball.
It's
pretty much. And unless you play a smaller deck, like you're playing a 59 card deck effectively anytime you use him in the game.
Which is so good. Good.
So there's also no limit to its ability. And this came up in like a test game that I ran on live with James, trying out Terrabox. And he started Splup Ditto.
Wait,
he transformative start, and then he was able to get Latios out.
Stretcher,
he transformed to start into
again?
Fan. Stretcher the Ditto. Latios is on the board.
You get to do it twice.
Ditto,
That's
and
so
repeat.
gross.
You can do it twice. The only thing is if it's the first turn.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's great. That means it was a 6th nest ball. That's crazy.
Yep. It's
100%
like just how cool some of those plays are when you realize, like, oh, I can repeat this.
Yeah, that's definitely like I'm probably wasting my Night Stretcher. Like,
100%.
with the knowledge that I have now, that's definitely a waste of Night Stretcher. But that's so hype. That's like a Thornton type play where it's just like, this is bad, but this is stylish. I love it. That's so cool. Oh,
that's a bingo card type play.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much.
We should get bingo cards printed.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
We'll do bingo cards for Atlanta. Mark yourself off if you do a thing.
By the way, so what's the best way to do this? I'm wondering. We'll put I'm not putting the deck list in here. I guess we can like rattle it off real quick.
Yeah.
I guess the hallmarks are like 4/4 Owls, 2 Fans, 2 Teal Mask, 2 Wellspring, Blood Moon Ursaluna, 1 Cornerstone, Splup Ditto, obviously the GOAT, Pheasantipity, the least healthy card for the game, Latias, Lily's Clefairy, Mew EX, Pikachu EX, Terrapagos, and then 3 Crispin, 2 Boss, 2 Research, 1 Iono, 1 Turo Scenario, 4 Nest, 3 E-Switch, 3 Ultra Ball, 2 Earthen Vessel is a thing that we do differently, 1 Counter Catcher, 1 Night Stretcher, 1 Super Rod, 2 Area 0 Under Depths, Sparkling Crystal, and then 4 Grass, 2 Psychic, 1 Fighting, 1 Lightning, 1 Metal, and 1 Water. That is our full list. If you didn't hear it, go back in the episode. I know you're watching on YouTube. Literally just hit rewind. But the things that we do different, Obviously, the 2 earthen vessel is a big deal. The 2 area 0 is a little different. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Zach, I know you were a big you were the herald of the double earthen vessel.
Yeah. So we kind of settled on, I think, like 58 or 59 of these 60 cards pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like, we knew we just kind of wanted to play a list similar to what they had played in Japan, and we wanted to fit Cornerstone Fighting, so that way we don't auto-lose the wall matchup. And also it has other applications and matchups that can be tricky to play, such as Archaludon, Golden Go, stuff like that. So our first thoughts for cutting those 2 was to cut an ultra. Well, I think my first thought when I was messing with the list was to cut an owl. I cut 1 Noctowl and kept 4/4 ball, and then cut the what else did I cut?
Was
one of the ultra balls. What was it?
Was it the 5th grass?
5th grass, yeah.
Yeah.
So we cut the 5th grass and the ultra ball, and 5th grass ended up being like a very universal cut, I feel like.
Yeah.
If you included Cornerstone. Just so I guess to keep the energy count similar, so all your ratios are the same. Like, even other people we knew in Charlotte that were going to play Terra Box that had different switches than we did still opted to go for 4 grass. The group that made it in Japan said that their ideal cuts for Cornerstone was going to be the 5th grass and one other card. So it just kind of made sense. After testing, we realized that having the 4th owl was way better than having the 4th Ultra Ball. Because it's nice to just raw draw into it. Ultra Balling is only really necessary if you need that Pokemon you're searching for. Like if you need Fan turn 1 or if you need the Noctowl to play. Because you need a lot of the resources in this deck, and just pitching them off the Ultra Ball feels terrible a lot of the time.
No, and
so that's kind of the adjustment we switched back on, was doing that.
Yeah, and 4/4 Owl just feels so good. Like, in a game where a bunch of draw engines are really inconsistent, things like I mean, let's be real, a lot of decks aren't even playing really a draw engine. There's Golden Go, there's Kilowattrel, I guess. There's Teal Masks.
And Dracloak, and that's it. Like
Dracloak.
And Dunsparce.
I guess, and Zoroark. That deck is bad. I wish that deck was better, but I don't want to go on that rabbit hole. We'll be here all night. I wish it was good. It's not. No, actually, it's very good. Play it to Atlanta. Play it and Zoroark to Atlanta regionals, and match me all 9 rounds. But yeah, no, it's for sure for both people that listen to this podcast.
Man.
But truly, I think in a universe where all of the draw engines are pretty inconsistent, having something which is effectively 1-to-1 with what has historically been the most consistent engine in the game, Shady Dealings Inteleon, what you can't ask for a better draw engine. I genuinely think it's the perfect engine for a deck, especially in something like this with such a high skill ceiling that you can, as long as you're sequencing correctly and you don't get really unlucky on prizing, you can kind of weasel your way out of just about any scenario.
Yeah, and being able to raw draw it is huge. Being able to open it is huge. It's way better to open one of the owls than it is to open Ultra Ball.
Absolutely.
And then also finding it off of Ionos at the end. Playing against Terra Box and you hit them with the Iono to 2 at the end of the game is so devastating if they just get Owl. And it happens way more often than you think it's going to.
Yeah.
So it just felt really nice to make that switch. And I don't know about you guys, but I never felt like I was hurting not having that Ultra Ball in the deck.
Never.
It never really felt like it hurt my turn 1 fan consistency. It never really felt like it was hurting my ability to get owls later in the game. So it just felt like an easy cut to make.
I think in every deck I've ever played, 4th Ultra Ball was my 60th card, my first cut. I don't think there's any deck that ever needs to play 4 Ultra Ball. Maybe that's being obtuse, but I have never, anytime I'm looking to fit one extra tech card, I'm always cutting 4th Ultra Ball.
I think the only deck I can think of that would is Charizard or Arceus. Those are the only decks where I really think I would keep a 4th Ultra Ball over something else.
Sure. Yeah, I see
that's fair.
But it just never felt net, because also all your guys are basics except for the owls. So your Ultra Balls are effectively just additional consistency cards for your basics or explicitly to find the owl.
Yeah, we run 23 Pokemon in this list.
Yeah, 19
So
are
many
basics.
guys.
It's crazy.
Ew. It is a crazy count. I love it though.
But then for the last card, we were thinking of a variety of different things. We're thinking of like Penny versus Turo for a second, which I think we ended up
Yeah.
settling on Turo.
Definitely.
And then we were thinking of a different card to put in the 60th slot because we thought that since Area Zero is going to be such a popular engine in the regional,
Yeah.
maybe we didn't need as many to play Stadium Wars. And I also think because stadiums are so like minimal value right now, like there's not very many stadiums that are like highly disruptive outside of Jamming Tower.
Truly.
Yeah.
That people aren't needing to play as many to like bump constantly. It's
Also
usually
with,
just something that benefits your deck is what you want to play over bumping somebody else's.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Lost Vacuum being out of the game also helps out a
Right.
lot. Like for a while, you could just tech a one of Lost Vacuum just in case, and now like you don't have to do that at all.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think we were considering like item switch. We were considering like a couple different things. And then for one testing session, I wanted to try playing Double Vessel because one thing that did kind of feel bad about the Tord list is that it is like so reliant on Crispin to attack. Like sure, you have like the 3 E switches to like bounce Teal Masks off, but if you're cutting down on grasses, it's a little bit more difficult to find the energies you need.
Yeah.
And then also because you play so many colored attackers and different colored energies that have to correspond with those attackers, you need specific energies if you're not committing the crystal to that guy. So being able to find it is like paramount.
Also, in the rare occasion that you do want to just like Teal Mask swing, like it's nice to be able to go get a double grass.
Yeah, easily.
And also just be able to search energy and also gust and also Turo. Like
it's great just to get, if you don't need a second energy, just to get a grass to hold on to Teal Mask the next turn.
Yeah, exactly. I've
Like,
done that countless times.
It's just worthwhile to do a lot of the time. And then also I found myself using Vessel early to meet energy requirements and then not have it late when I needed to meet a different energy requirement. So having to kind of fix that. And then in the testing games that we played, I never really missed the third stadium, even against decks like Archaludon with 4 Jamming Tower or the Poison decks that play 3 Perilous Jungle. And then another thing I found is that if you play against other Area Zero decks that are playing a higher count of Area Zero, if you Noctowl will get your stadium and play it first, you leave them with more dead cards in their deck than you have in yours.
Oh, that's so good.
Because if you hit it, you now have 1 dead card in Area Zero, and they have 3. And if they play 2 and you play 2, then or if they play it down first, then you both have the same number. You both have 2 dead cards in your deck.
Yeah.
So it kind of fixes like offset math a little bit.
That's super smart.
It also something like that makes like a late game Iono stick harder, or at least the chance for that to stick harder, which I think is super important for this.
Yeah,
you definitely want that.
It's felt really good so far. So I think that's just kind of like what we stuck on. It's like all I've been playing the last like week and a half since we've like kind of settled on like this is the deck we were going to bring.
Yeah.
And I haven't really felt like I needed to change a card so far.
Yeah. Johnny, is there anything that you've kind of felt like any like weird changes you've experimented with or thought about? Anything you've kind of entertained in your testing on your own? I
did do a good bit of the Penny testing versus Turo.
You're a big advocate of Penny versus Turo.
I thought that was the right the right call, and it just turned out to not be. There were situations where it's like, okay, well, Penny. So the theory was like Penny is really good into something like Pult or Archaludon, where they do fixed damage, like the 200, the 220 that's you're kind of worried about potentially, but it's not necessarily going to knock something out completely, or like in Pikachu's case, Pikachu gets to dodge for a turn as long as there's no other damage counters on it. So the Penny play is like, okay, I can Penny Pikachu with a crystal on it to pick it up and then reset it, and I get to keep the crystal, so I can go 2 discard Topaz Bolt for 300, 2 discard Topaz Bolt for 300, and that's like that would be fantastic against something like an Archaludon, where you're blowing it up in that one hit. The problem was, more often than not, I didn't feel like I needed that. I felt like I needed more reach, and I was wanting to pick up a Noctowl. And after testing like 3 to 5 games like that in a row of like feeling like, oh, I would rather pick up a Noctowl than pick up the Pikachu, I said, okay, I'm cutting the penny out. We're going to Turo, and I think that was. I mean, it's obviously like the right call, but it was just like it was that process of like realizing, oh, this is actually not as good as I thought it was. You know, like just hitting like that same wall 5 times in a row, 5 games in a row, made it feel bad. So
yeah, definitely,
and that was against in our Chaladon too.
Geez,
Yeah,
so like that case scenario, you weren't even getting the thing you wanted to happen.
Exactly. So that was one. The other test I would say was the research versus Iono count. And a little bit of the we entertained Judge in here as well.
True.
You actually
I was a big advocate for Judge.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, so we entertained I tried out the 1 research 2 Iono for a little bit, and I tried out 1 research 1 Iono 1 Judge for a little bit. And Judge felt good, but really only into Dragapult. It didn't feel like it did much else. I mean, even Golden Go, it doesn't really like stick against the same way. Judge sticks really well against Dragapult, but like we're also not very unfavored into that matchup.
We're super favored into Dragapult.
Yeah. It just felt like
it's crazy how favored we are, actually.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then that Iono too, like Zack kind of pointed out, that the Iono was just you don't want to. It's that you don't want to have to rely on it all the time, especially if you're like taking prizes in this deck, because the deck is low draw power and is so reliant on those tutors. There's a lot of times where you could be, for 2 prizes, and you would rather like have the research in hand to just dump like an extra card or 2 and go back to a big hand that has a lot more options. And I think in the testing today, when I was running the 2 research, that felt especially true. There were a lot of, I feel like there was at least 2 or 3 games that we played out that like when I researched, I just got what I needed off of it, or got part of what I needed off of it, and I could do the rest,
Yeah, 100%.
It's also like it can, like, if you Iono and you're into less cards versus more cards with research, it increases your chances of finding other things that help you draw. So like it can help you find like a way to get Fez to draw 3 more cards, or Noctowl to like tutor 2 more cards out. And like since the deck is like so aggressive, like you almost always want to be like jumping at plays to take prizes early on, because you're either facing something with big 2 prizes that you can immediately deal with in ways that they can't deal with your guys immediately, or set up decks that you can just like snipe away. You're often going to be in positions where it's advantageous for them to try to disrupt your hand down. And if you draw into an Iono versus a research, you're not advancing the amount of cards you have. You're just cycling through the deck.
Right. And research is just so good. We've kind of been in a format that undervalues research, right? But like for the most part, it's like, oh, we'll play 1 or 2, which granted ours only plays 2, but some decks for a long time were playing absolute just none at all, and heavily relying on those Ionos, and heavily relying on that onboard draw with Radiant Greninja. And I think the lack of Radiant Greninja is all the more reason for us to be like, let's draw the extra 1 card, or like let's draw the extra 2 to 3 cards, like just because so few decks see cards. And like, I get it, we're tutoring out cards every turn that we want to see, but drawing cards also builds your hand for following turns. And that's like very basic to say. Like, I know I'm not like teaching, like saying anything new, but like being able to have more options for later turns and being able to formulate a plan for the long game based on cards you're seeing now is way better than being like, oh, I'll just kind of Iono and like disrupt my opponent and hope that works, and then hope I draw into a Noctowl that I would have drawn into sooner if I just researched anyway. And like, so I think the double research is for sure the right play. I do wish Judge was better, but I think if our Dragapult match was worse, I think we for sure would put like maybe even like a 1/1/1 research Iono Judge.
I've seen some lists online play the 1/1/1, and I think in a different metagame it would be like actually really good. I just don't think it's like super prevalent right now, because decks are either playing onboard draw or they're playing research. So in previous formats, whenever there was more onboard draw, it was easier to like Iono out of an Iono, because you could also draw with what's on board. And now you kind of have to rely more on different cards to like get you things you need, because there's not a lot of onboard support that can do that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I also,
One
for
of
that
the-
last supporter slot, I sometimes wish there was a world where we had room for like a one of surfer. Just because I find myself so frequently, and I guess that would be like kind of the Turo slot.
Yeah,
But I
can
don't
see
know.
that.
Sometimes I'm just like, I wish I could draw cards and switch,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
or even like a
it'd
pal
be-
pad to get another Turo happening.
Palpad was another one I wanted to test in that slot a little bit, and I think it's like
so
good in
good.
like theory. And I know a lot of people we know in Charlotte are playing that in their Terrabox list as well in one of those slots. But whenever I played it online, I just never used it. I felt like as long as I was like sequencing things correctly and like being more precious with my resources, and only a big thing with this deck is that because you can get anything, you feel like you have to.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you just have to like expend your searches to like have board stability. And I guess that's like partially because of being used to having things on your board that help you stay stable, which is like not the case once you play the Noctowl. You can't do anything else with it. It's just a guy on your board until it gets bumped. So it's like once you kind of train yourself into like utilizing your resources for exactly what you need and not really pushing unless you have to, then you kind of like get to utilize your resources without needing Palpad.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
Yeah, it's a shame.
that's a good takeaway from this list. Actually, is learning when to not play the Noctowl too, as well as learning when to play the Noctowl.
Like you almost always want to have a Hoot on board if possible.
Yeah, if not two. In fact, that's one of the inclusions I was fighting for a long time. Is actually a Buddy Poffin in place of fourth Nest. I still think it's valuable to have a Poffin. Just on the sheer fact of like sometimes that is just that extra little bit of reach you need. I'm very back and forth on it because on the other hand, I'm like I often want to use those nest balls to go grab another guy, like a different, like I want to get a Latias or I want to get a Mew. It's for sure like something I'm gonna have to like before we end up in Atlanta. I'm gonna have to just really like probably just get over the copium and just fit in the fourth nest ball instead of the Buddy Poffin. I know it came up a lot today, but I think ultimately it probably is best to just run four nest for consistency. I won't miss it too bad, honestly. And if I do, you'll hear about it, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's another card I think is like good if it was like a different kind of metagame. Like I think because this deck is forced to play so aggressive, it just has to find all the big guys, and the little guys are kind of like less necessary to find off of like a ball search card just because you're playing four of them, I guess. So it's like easier to just raw draw into them. But I think like if you were playing something like Badu instead of Bear, which is something some Japanese lists at the Champions League played, or something like Klefki, like if Klefki was like more valuable to play for like disruptive supporters or something like that, or Mimikyu, then like I think a Buddy Poffin would actually be like really good, which I think is like that's the other cool thing about this deck is that it feels like it's so scrunched, but I think it's only because it's like in reflection of this metagame. Like as metas develop, I think there's a lot of like interesting things you can switch in and out to like make the deck suit that metagame better.
No, absolutely. I think that's 100% true. Go ahead.
Depending on, I was going to say it. I mean, depending on kind of what happens and how certain things happen. I mean, if we ran into like in Atlanta where Dragapult flops, people will probably start pulling like Clefairy from this list just because, like, that's the only reason it's in there. You know?
Oh man,
as well.
If Dragapult flops, people probably start pulling Clefairy.
See, I think that's super interesting because I thought the same thing, and I actually think Clefairy has so many cool applications that people don't think about.
It does. It absolutely does.
Clefairy is actually really, really good in the Gold Dingo matchup, and that's because as long as there is as long as there's 7 benched guys.
Oh, true.
Or no, not 7. Shoot, what's 24 divided by 2? 12? 12 bench guys between the two of you.
Yeah.
Which means if you have 8 and they have 4, then like they don't even have to have the full bench. You're KOing Goldingo with Clefairy.
Oh wow,
that's true.
Yikes!
Which is like not uncommon against that deck. So it can come up. Also against things like Saraledge, which aren't super popular, but like people will play them, I think.
Yeah.
And any other thing that like meets that like 260 to 280 threshold, like Clefairy can still deal with it.
Yeah.
For a very low maintenance cost.
It's also I was just about to say that. It's also like a really incredibly it's just good for like a a really simple, like, if you're fighting against generic Pokemon EX deck, like, this is just a really good, this is one Crispin away from being a really strong attacker into that deck.
Yeah, anytime big basics are good, Clefairy is going to be... It's like Raikou. Like, Raikou is like a small squishy guy, and a lot of people for a long time were like, oh, they're just playing him because like decks like Palkia and Lugia are good and hits for weakness.
Yeah.
Until those decks aren't like the best decks in the format anymore, and people are still playing Raikou because it just like punches things hard for 2 energy.
It punches things hard for 2 energy. Being able to do anything for 2 energy in this format is so good, because all of your best attacks, like 2, and one of them is like colorless as well.
Yeah.
That's such a strong like attack cost. It's very, very good.
Yeah, like if your deck can fit a Crispin and a Psychic Energy, you can play Clefairy.
Yeah. Exactly. Which is wild. And Clefairy is so good. Clefairy, one of my favorite plays to pull off, especially like with the Clefairy, is going up against Dragapult, boss up Dragapult, have Clefairy on the bench and attack with Mew EX. Oh my god.
Yeah, just get the clean wipe, load that guy up in a Duskull and just like take 3.
It's so good.
It feels so sick.
That's gonna be heat. Hitting that play in Atlanta.
That's gonna pull up on stream, and Wancho Saldana is gonna lose his mind.
Yeah,
it's so hype.
Guaranteed. It's just so cool. I love when
you have to make that happen.
What's that?
I said if you hit stream tables, you have to make that play happen.
Any of us. That's a pact. We got to make it happen for sure. I find it interesting, by the way, and we kind of already touched on it. The 2 Area 0 is really cool, because I even heard some people have gone down to 1. I think that's ridiculous.
That's spicy.
Yeah, I think it's terrible.
No shot.
I would never do that. But like, it's crazy. Like you guys were saying, like the versatility of this deck, just based on what the metagame is so cool. The way it can switch and turn on a dime.
Yeah. There's some pretty cool other considerations we had in this too, briefly, for a little bit. Like, I feel like there's a lot of... I feel like we consider almost everything.
Yeah, kitchen sink and all.
Oh my god. I had like the very briefest idea of maybe doing Clefairy's Pearl, just because or Lily's Pearl, because like that makes Clefairy a single prizer and it could make it a lot better.
Yeah.
But it's just like no space for that. A Bravery Charm could be really cool in this too.
I've thought about Bravery Charm.
Charms are really sick.
Isn't Josh playing Bravery Charm?
He was debating it. Like he like second research is like his 60th card in his opinion.
I can see that. So
he was in between Bravery Charm, Judge, or there was something else I don't remember. I think it was Bravery Charm or Judge was like what he wanted to play in that slot.
Ooh, wow. I know he was on the Judge last time I spoke to him. But yeah, no, Bravery Charm makes really good sense, because a lot of our guys are really squishy. And a lot of the times, I know, like, well, no, Dragapult isn't a bad matchup, so you're fine. But like, if you're able to get, like, a lot of guys can knock out our guys. It's very easy for things to knock us out. And just wanting to, at the end of the game, like, survive a turn sometimes is really, really good. So being able to just reach a little further sometimes feels awesome.
Yeah, it makes a lot of these cards, a lot of the cards in here, like, really good. Like, I mean, it puts Clefairy at the 240 mark, which puts it outside of like Terrapagos, or almost outside of Terrapagos range, at least. It makes them have to fill the bench for it.
Yeah. It's not out of not Dusknoir. It's not out of Archelodon range because of weakness, but
no,
still.
It's not.
Yeah,
but
Archelodon is like the biggest matchup it kind of helps you in, is because like if you go for like an early play to trade 2 shots, like if you can't Pikachu 3 times, or if you can't set Pikachu up fast enough, it makes it to where like they can't just like one-shot your guy. And then like also because like a lot of our Chaladons are playing Hawlucha to deal with Pikachu, like Terrapagos isn't safe because they'll just punch it and Hawlucha it on the bench for 2.
True.
Yeah, for sure.
So like having just like a little bit more beefiness is like really good.
Yeah.
Dang, I didn't even realize they were playing Hawlucha.
Oh, this actually came up to me when I played the mirror once. I played the mirror against a guy at Rally Squirrel, and he fan KO'd a Hoot Hoot with a Bravery Charm attached, and then I couldn't Water Pond for 2 without bossing.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I couldn't return KO with fan. I couldn't Water Pond for 2 while bossing. So it was like an interesting like little situation. It comes up.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that came up today when Johnny and I were playing a game where he was on the single 80 HP Hoot Hoot. I couldn't assault landing for the knockout on that guy, which is a pretty decent argument in favor of a single HP, like 80 HP Hooter. It just makes good sense. Like
I think it's good. And some people have even been saying you should play 2 just because it makes Dragapult math harder. But I think it's way more difficult to move that guy out of the active. Like, if you play 180 HP Hoot Hoot, you now technically have, like, one bad starter outside of Bear.
It's bad. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, because everybody else retreats for 1 or is Latios, which can now retreat for free outside of Bear. So it kind of makes your starts a little more difficult. Oh, and Terapagos, I guess. But Terapagos you can just power up and attack with.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less
Terapagos is low-key one of the best cards in this entire deck.
Love Terry. Big fan of Terry.
I know there were some people who were considering cutting it, but it's so good.
No, it's a must include.
Looking at Limitless deck or Limitless tournaments that have the deck list published, it's like one of the most cut cards. Like, I think a lot of people, their so 2 cuts, so they didn't have to sacrifice any trainer space, was like they cut Terapagos Grass to put Cornerstone in.
That is so surprising. It just feels so good.
It's really good.
Hard counters the Cornerstone.
Exactly. So, like, if you're playing into Terrabox and your Terrabox matchup idea, like the situation you're in, is that like, oh, I'll just like try to Cornerstone wall them. If they play Terrapagos and you don't, they automatically have the advantage.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then if you go into wall decks, it prevents you from having to like trade 2 shots against their own Cornerstone, because they'll have ways to like either heal it with like Pokevital, or they'll play Charms, or they'll play Cape or something like that to prevent it. And you can just kind of either trade 2 shots with Cape with Terry, or Terry just like blows it up immediately, and then they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, love Terry. Definitely become one of my favorite cards in the deck. The more I played it, like in the mirror today, like it just was an all-star card.
It's great low to the ground attacker too. It's like anything that can attack for 2 energy is like super valuable, and Terry's a little bit more beefy than Clefairy is, and a little more universal. Like if you don't have like psychics available, Terry can just like swing for like a vessel and an E-switch.
Yeah, the 230 is also super important, because sometimes that's a full turn. Like,
it definitely is.
He's the second biggest guy in this deck, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
When he debuted, I was like, oh, 230, that's nothing. And now I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, he's the second biggest guy other than Blood Moon Ursaluna. So,
he's a big dude.
Yeah, absolutely wild. Such a cool inclusion. If you're going to Atlanta, don't include a Terrapagos EX in your Terrabox list. Do not do it. That card is bad. He's cuttable. Definitely cuttable. Your 61st card. You don't need him. Do not play Terrapagos EX. Jeez. This is so brain rotted. Yeah, super cool. I think let's talk about some of the guys that didn't make the cut though.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about a lot of the guys that we do include and what we like. Let's talk about the stuff that we did that we cut and did not include, because there's been a lot of cool stuff. And Johnny, you were on one for a while. You were trying so hard for a while to fit in Zarude, right?
Yep. Yeah. There's a Zarude from Surging Sparks with 120 HP, and it has the Jungle Whip attack for 2 grass and 1 colorless. I hate the wording on this card. This is actually horrible wording, but it says 80 plus. You may put all energy attached to this Pokemon into your hand to have this attack and do 80 more damage. I really wish they would have just like used the same language as like Wellspring Mask, but maybe that's also like Wellspring Mask's language should look more like this. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. It seems much more casual. This looks like TPCI texted this to me.
Yeah.
Right. Like Wellsprings is like you may put the energy back in the deck, and if you do, it does this. Which is like that's like an MLA citation, you know?
Yeah. That's the spreadsheet. This is my Cash App request. Like,
yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were throwing this around. I was throwing this around for a little bit because it hits. So it's hitting for 160, which isn't really any slouch anyway. Like that's a good way to just KO like other like single risers, and I guess like Gust to Squawk a billion, blow it up or something. But it also, the big thing about it, really, and the real reason was a wall answer.
Yeah.
Because Terrabucks doesn't have a great wall answer. That's why we included Cornerstone. And this guy blows up Cornerstone, but it also blows up the Farigiraf EX that wall decks use. Because Farigiraf has protection against basic EXs. And that's Terrabucks. That's everything in Terrabucks except for a knockdown, and speed winging 60 a turn isn't going to get you very far, unfortunately.
True.
But so this was like a cool idea because of that. I liked the possibility of like, okay, well, you can go, you can teal dance your grass into play with your teal Mesco Griffon. You can e-switch in a Crispin and get that onto this guy, and then attack, blow up your target that you need to blow up, and then you get all the energy back into hand. It's protected, and then the next turn you can go teal dance again and kind of get the energy back out. The issue with that is that while you do set up like a single prize option, ultimately, like, we do have gusting in the deck. We can just gust around stuff like that. Your opponent will have gusts and they can gust around stuff like this. The other big thing is that energy in your hand in this deck is terrible compared to in the deck.
Yeah.
Or, like, honestly, I would even rather have it in the discard. At the very least, in the discard means we can, like, super rot it back into the deck.
Yeah.
And then it's, just back in the deck. But, I mean, energy in the deck is much more important because you want to be able to Crispin those, cards back out onto the board and get yourself going. So I think this card just fell a little short, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's a shame because he's got the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man the ones that are actually coming out of his wrist, and I respect that. But unfortunately, he's not very good.
I think two things could have made this card a little bit better, and one is if it hit 180 instead of 160. I think that would have made it way more applicable. And then just because it could like hit other small things like Mew EX.
Yeah.
Or if the energy requirement wasn't double grass. Like,
if it was grass, colorless,
way more easy to do.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of one of the reasons why like that plus Cornerstone being able to like use Crystal if you need to makes it like setting it up a little bit easier against like matchups like Wall.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I think we may have been like had the blinders on a little too strong against Wall. Because like you said, Zach, we're in a really heavy control Wall scene here in Charlotte. And I don't think the rest of like the East Coast is really like that. I don't think there's that many players who are really like, nah, man, I'm gonna make control and Wall really, really work. Like, I don't think we're going up against Milotic the first 3 rounds.
No, I
tend not to think so either. I know that like I know that what is it? The area that I'm from, at least in Tampa, there's going to be like 15 people going, which isn't obviously representative of like the whole area, but it's representative of like a small chunk of it that's in like one or two shop communities, and those shops generally play like a lot of stage 2 decks. I'm pretty sure that out of those areas, Bolt, Pult, and Denko are going to be the big ones, where it's either stage 2 decks or big like uncapped like energy, knock something out decks. Those are what I can imagine from the area the most. I also think some people genuinely will run Charizard out of that area because it just feels like a comfort pick for some of them. So
definitely.
Yeah, I know for a fact that like there is going to actually be a large portion of non-wall decks, and I think trying to cater yourself to the wall matchup exclusively is playing the matchup and not playing the field, and I think we need to play the field more, especially in like this tournament.
Yes,
I
think
West.
Definitely
Cornerstone has like more utilitarian applications in other matchups too. Like it's like the way you beat Goldingo a lot of the time, because if you don't open a way to like Pikachu 3 times, your way to win is to just like Cornerstone lock them. And same with like certain Archaludon builds. Like the best way to beat that deck is to just like Cornerstone lock them, because they can't do anything to you at that point.
Right.
Even with their Cornerstone answers, which is usually like Caesar or Dunsparce EX. And then even then, like Wall is just so visible Like
Mhm.
the biggest thing that
Yeah.
like other control decks have previously is that like they had like so many different ways to like interact with the opponent's hand, deck, discard, etc. to like remove the ability of using resources. And Wall doesn't do that. Wall just kind of like sits there and is just like, hey, can't hit me, right?
It's
Yeah.
literally you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses.
Right, yeah.
Can
Like you wouldn't hit a
now.
giraffe or a worm, right?
How?
No sweat. So like it doesn't actually like do anything other than like just like say like figure a way to hit me.
Yeah.
So like once you figure out a way to hit them, it's just like they're like, oh, okay, I don't think I can do anything about that now. Like
Yeah.
so much so that even like people that we know that like play these strategies a lot have pivoted off them entirely. They're just like,
Yeah.
it's too visible. Like we in our testing we can't make it work
You
in
also
enough of a capacity. And
you
then on top
absolutely
of
have
that,
to
it's not going
telegraph
to
it
be a
too.
high meta percentage either. Like nobody,
Right.
like even like Iron Thorns after one Worlds was only like a 0.3 meta percentage deck at Baltimore.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah, it's super crazy how quickly like things kind of developed. Like, because I'm looking at online tournaments right now, and first of all, there's some bananas lists on Limitless tournaments right now. I'm looking at a Scolipede deck that got like first place, or not first place, but like got really high. But regardless, that deck is crazy.
Oh, there was one like Goldingo with Scovillain EX. Have you seen this?
I have not.
It is
Oh my God.
ridiculous. Like it's grass type, so it KOs the cornerstone with 2 grass energy for the second attack. But the first attack also retreat locks and burns for 1 grass.
Yo, that's
It's
Okay.
kind of nuts.
I think I'm looking at it right now. I think that's Master Labui. No, it's not. I'm tweaking. I don't know who it is, but that's cool.
It's
Does
gross.
James know? Does James know?
I hope not.
Get James on the horn right now. Get his opinion on Scoville in Golden Go. But yeah, and I'm just like it's like I was saying though. Like there's a lot of online tournaments that have taken place this past week since we've got stuff legal on TCG Live. There's very little wall representation. You know what there's a lot of is Terrabox. Like that is evidently a very good deck. And it's just there's so much evidence. I have been a huge historically I'm a big hipster in this game where I love to play little off meta stuff or stuff that's like, no guys, it's really good, trust me, it's the best deck in format, but nobody knows about it. Literally I have a video called The Best Deck That No One Is Playing. And like I've very much been that just like contrarian, like, no, I don't want to play Dragapult, it's too good. I don't want to play Regidrago. And I'm done with it. I'm playing the good deck now. And this is the good deck. Is Terrabox. It is really, really good. It's super strong. The results speak for themselves. Like it wouldn't be so popular if it wasn't going to do so well.
Yeah. I think I think like just it's more of a testament to kind of wanting to have a little bit of everything in the meta, but this is like one of those I want a little bit of everything in like the best possible way. The deck almost reminds me in a way of like someone's random, hey, this is my first 60 I threw together, and they posted on like a Reddit page.
Yeah, it's like a binder drop deck.
Yeah.
And like most of the time you'd look at this kind of deck and you'd be like, bro, here, and send them like 5 links and say like searching first, but like it doesn't feel like that anymore. Like this deck feels certainly real, like right out the gate. And it's I think if we run into like seeing a lot of like the Terrapagos a lot of the Terrabox in response to us being on Terrabox hitting those mirror matches, I think that's the coolest part. Is this deck is definitely like in that matchup just a game of skill expression and nothing else. It doesn't come down to like the Roaring Moon mirror where it's just who goes second and can just blow someone up first, or the Raging Bolt mirror that's the same way, or the Dragapult mirror, which is who doesn't get an absolutely terrible start, and who gets Duskull's like right out the gate, that kind of thing. Like this one there's so many ways to move your way through the deck, and I love that.
Yeah, No,
Cool.
and it felt that way when we were testing the mirror today, because I noticed that's something that I kind of have been lacking lately is like, how do I handle the mirror? And the answer is a million different ways.
Yes.
Like in every match of Terrabox Mirror, it's going to be a different game. Like there's not exactly one strategy that works best. Kind of have to like wait and see what your opponent does, and then kind of pick best against that. Or I guess like Terrapagos is a really good starter, but if your opponent opens like Cornerstone, you kind of struggle a little more because you have to keep Terry in play, and it's like I don't know. There's like it's a difficult matchup because there's so many things that like there's so many moving parts, so many different ways to play. It is the most 4D chess matchup ever. And I love it. I love that about this is that like we'll probably see like at least a couple Terrabox mirrors on stream. I hope to be at least one of them. And every one of those streams is going to be different, and it's gonna go crazy. I'm so excited for that. It definitely feels like this matchup will make you think on your feet. It's super exciting.
It is like heavily like you have to be on your toes. Like you can't think of like conventions that you've learned based on like how the matchup works, because there are so many different options that can be taken for different routes that like it's like really difficult. Like it reminds me a lot of like the old like pre-last rotation Gardevoir mirrors.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's so many different options that can be done that like you really have to like constantly pivot as to like what your best option is going to be on your turn.
100%. There's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys in here who can technically attack. Like which is including Fez, by the way, because like we discovered in testing, there is a universe where it's like sometimes you can just Cruel Arrow into an active Mew or a Clefairy, or I guess more Mew. You can like Cruel Arrow into an active Mew, and that's just like a knockout for 2 prizes.
Yeah.
And like you don't want to have to attack with Fez, but it happens.
Yeah, like sometimes you just gotta. Or like if you need 1 prize and they got a big dude in the active, just like Fez knock out the Hoot on the bench. You know what I mean? If you need your 1 prize.
Which is great for stifling their strategy too. Like early game, if you really need to snipe and can't get an Ogre Pawn out, or like don't want to shuffle the energy back, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so crazy. 11 different strategies to employ in one deck. That's ridiculous.
There's going to be some wild variations on it too. You know, like everyone, there's going to be so many people like us who are going to make some sort of, anywhere from like 54 to 59 card shell, and then just the last card is different. The thing I've seen like people throw around other stuff. I saw, what was it? Pinsir from 151 was a card that was thrown around as like another option instead of the Zarude or something like that. It's very similar to the Zarude. It's the same energy cost, 90 plus, and it's basically your comeback mechanic card. So if you're on more prizes left than your opponent, it's 90 plus another 90, which is really good. It's hitting that 180 for weakness, or for it's hitting that 180 without weakness, which is better, because you can obviously like hit the Mew with that and then some other stuff. Like that's a cool option. I still don't think I would include it either. It's just I think some of these ideas of like a single prizer to make up for that space is ultimately like not the answer to it, because it gets something else out there that's maybe an option to torrential pump with Wellspring Mask or do something like that. It's not quite perfect, I think, but it's a cool idea. I think someone probably will go for Zack's idea that they presented earlier, was the Milotic EX.
Yeah, and like playing your own Farigiraf as well. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that where people try to play this deck where it's like, oh, what if we also make it a little bit of control?
I definitely think like you'll see some variations on it like that. I think that would be interesting. That's I'm not partial to playing like that. I find control really hard sometimes, but
it's so hard. It's so difficult.
It's tough.
What's
But
crazy though is
this would be
I
cool.
can see a metagame where one of those or both of those options are also beneficial to include. Like I see
Oh yeah.
there is absolutely a universe where a deck plays that and does well and like cuts a
Mhm.
different attacker.
Yeah. Like because like Frigidaire is like a Terra too, like so if there's ever like a big basic format where it's like
Mhm.
all the decks are playing big basic EXs, like just playing like a 2/2 Frigidaire is like never bad.
Yeah.
Like it just
Mhm.
gives you like that additional option that's like best suited for that meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That means if like Turbo Hands comes back, we start doing the
Right.
draft builds.
Well, what's interesting is like even we've kind of discovered like Terapagos kind of also fills that niche. Not quite as
Mhm.
well, but with like a limitation that really the only alternative is like another Terry or Blood Moon
Mhm.
or like
Mhm.
Cornerstone. And those are 3 cards and everything else is kind of like, well, you're out of luck. So
Yeah.
like even into big basic formats, like there's options, right? You can do
Yes.
Terry or Farigiraf. You can do like Cornerstone or you can do a different guy like Milotic. Like there's so much somehow there's simultaneously 0 room and all the room in the world in this deck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it just
for
again does
sure.
speak to the consistency of the Noctowl engine as long as there's a Terra guy in play. Even like I was thinking about
Actually,
it, like you can use it. One of the strengths of the EVEX from Prismatic is that it's a basic Terra that evolves into another Terra. And so
Mhm.
you can use that to get like you can fan rotom for Hoot Hoot Noctowl Ditto, switch it Ditto active, Eevee, then you've got your Terra for next turn, and you're not sacrificing like that you're putting like one of the weaknesses of playing like a stage 1 Pokemon in this deck is that the basic is not a Terra. And so
Right.
like one of the
Exactly.
cool things about the EVEX is that like it is a Terra and
Mhm.
evolves into a Terra. And that's it's very unique. And I'm not sure it'll ever be good, but like that is
there's
something to take note of in the format.
I mean, there's absolutely going to be. I think there's going to be, even in a small grouping, like 2 or 3 people who run some sort of like evolution Terra box combo deck where it's kind of a merging of like the Flareon build into Terra box, and instead of like running maybe some of the attackers you run like heavier towards the Flareon, or something like that. But you still have, the Noctowls, you still have the Teal Mask Ogrepons to also like accelerate energy into play. I could see something like that actually emerging potentially, and just being kind of like, even if it's not something that we're playing, seeing it and just being like, yeah, that's a cool combo.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I've seen builds that play kind of like the Flareon box deck, but they include like the double Wellspring, so that way they
Mhm.
have the option of doing like the Terra box turn 2, or if they're
Yeah.
playing a different matchup, then they can play like the Flareon punch and charge energy type thing.
Yeah.
And they still have like the big heavy attacker for the end whenever you can do the Flareon for 280 type thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Wow.
the Flareon in that case does also answer the something like the Farigiraf.
Yeah, and the Cornerstone.
True.
And the Cornerstone. Yeah. So it's like a cool idea. Yeah. No, and like you said also with our Terapagos is kind of like the answer is a pseudo answer, similarly to what Farigiraf is. Like it's yeah, it's kind of doing the same thing. It feels almost like it's running like you're running like a better Noivern EX, honestly,
Oh,
in a way.
I love Noivern.
Like you get it's not quite as all encompassing as Noivern EX, but you do have a little bit more damage, and it slots into the deck better because of the
Yes.
Terra status.
No, 100%. 100% that's the case. Which is a shame because I love Noivern in like control type decks, but just there's something to be said for that value that isn't as high upkeep as Noivern. And it's really cool. It's why this deck feels so good.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to really cover about the deck before we kind of pivot to just talking about the Atlanta trip in general and what we're excited about for that, or do we want to just go ahead and move on?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. The last thing I wanted to really touch on is like obviously we're going to compete, right? But I'm also really stoked just to have this trip. So it's the three of us, and then Johnny, you're bringing your wife Cassie, and obviously James is coming as well. And we are all splitting an Airbnb down in Atlanta. We're going up there Friday night. At least the three of us are. Y'all two are heading up kind of earlier in the day potentially.
Yeah, mid-afternoon, something like that.
Yeah, but I am really interested to hear what the two of you are like most excited about for the trip outside of the tournament, and just kind of like what you're looking forward to the most, because I want to make sure this trip is also fun for us.
Yeah. I think one of the big things, and I mean you two obviously have like heard me go on and on about it, I guess at this point, but one of the big things I've actually been looking forward to and have been working towards is getting into GLC and taking some time for GLC at this tournament potentially. So I'm really looking forward to like hopefully having if day one doesn't let me go to day two, then I go and I'll sign up for GLC on Sunday and just have some fun, honestly, like throw myself in it head first. I'm super excited for that. So that's one thing. Other thing outside of Pokemon, honestly, I'm just excited to check out like some of the stuff in Atlanta. I've never really been since I was like, I don't know, 3 or something like that. I don't remember that. So I'd like go like I really want to go to the aquarium. I feel like that's like what everyone does.
Yeah, the aquarium's sick.
Want to go to the aquarium.
I've never been to the aquarium.
It's so sick. I love aquariums.
No, aquariums are awesome. I'm a big fish fan.
Yeah.
Little known, I'm a fish enjoyer, if you will. It's so cool. I always love a good aquarium. I didn't know they actually had an aquarium until literally just now. This is my first hearing about it.
Oh yeah, it's apparently supposedly it's like one of the biggest aquariums in like North America.
Oh wow,
something like that.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's certainly one of the biggest. They have like I'm pretty sure they have like a whale shark there. I think I heard. Maybe
that's actually kind of scary. I would be scared to be around that many ocean creatures. They're all too
gigantic.
Smart.
It's a very large aquarium. That's all I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be scary. That'd be scary for sure. Interesting. I'm looking forward to a lot of the food and drink in that area. It's a popular city. It is big. It's like I'm excited to try all that good stuff. I've been kind of on my travel and like food and drink kind of grind lately of like experiencing what there is to eat. I'm so mad I didn't get to try oxtail in Jamaica, and I should have. I was so bummed when I couldn't try it. But I got a lot of other good stuff from there, and this time I will be sure to get something good from Atlanta.
I'm just itching to play. I love regionals. I love being in the environment. It's like electric.
It's so electric, exactly.
Like it's so like bombastic and loud, and everybody there is just having a blast. Like you're like surrounded by people who like enjoy the same thing that you enjoy. Like it's so much fun. I itch for it all the time.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah, it's just like looking forward to playing. If day 2 doesn't work out, playing GLC on Sunday, checking out the vendors, and then just like hanging out. It's gonna be great.
That'll be cool. I'm hoping that if I can manage to fix it in time, I want to have the game show Psychic GLC deck finished by then, so that I can if we like don't make day 2, which I'm hoping that we do, obviously. But like, I would love to be able to play the game show deck just to have a good time, and I want to give my opponent like a story to tell after the fact. Like, I don't exactly care about winning necessarily. It'd be cool to, but like the idea of just like and we've talked about it at length. Like, I gotta get like the little bow tie. I have like a little bow tie and suspenders that I stole from like a wedding dressing room I was in a couple years ago. And I definitely need to get that and like one of those like little Bob Barker mics.
Yeah, dude.
Like, what do you think about this? And then just like stuff like that. For just real quick. The premise of the GLC game show deck, by the way, is like playing a lot of the rock paper scissors, or like your opponent guesses the weight or like an attack name of a card, and so like, and if they guess correctly, they get something, but if they guess incorrectly, you get something out of it, and so like that'll be a fun GLC premise, and it'll be exciting to play. But Johnny, what were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna say for that deck, just as a card to include, because it looks almost like it fits. Maybe just in like, I don't know why. It's like the colors and like the lighting on the card, but very specifically the first printing of Judge from Unleashed Spirit.
Wait, is that the one where he's in like the UFO looking thing?
Yeah, because he's in like something that looks like, it's like, I don't know, it's just like the coloration makes it look like it's like some kind of like, Wheel of Fortune.
Oh yeah, it is very game show.
Very much so. Yeah. So I don't know. I was like, that could be a cool inclusion just for like the art more than any other reason.
I can proxy it. That's the cool thing about GLC.
Very true.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. I love this card. Oh, I could play it with Judge Whistle too. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You might be onto something. That'll be cool. Yeah, but it's just such an exciting premise. It's always fun. That is, I think, the most fun games of Pokemon I have is either day 1 Goober brackets or day 2 GLC. Is like the most fun games of Pokemon I've ever had. I've shared the story of like how I wound up in weird brackets playing against like Durant Mill and like winning on a coin flip, or like playing against like the Rapid Strike Mirror, and that's how I met like longtime friend of the show Will, who runs Unplugged Gaming is the manager for the Unplugged Gaming team up in New York. And it's like I remember distinctly like Charlotte this past year I was playing GLC against like a Fairy Control player, and we were the last ones playing in the entire round. And I was trying to look at my win con and I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, maybe if I Iono and see some more cards. Like a crowd was gathered, by the way. This is very much like a hard to believe story. But like everybody was watching because we were the last ones playing. I was like, I'm gonna Iono, see if I can get anything good off of that. And then I'm sitting here looking at my hand and I hear him go, "Shh, I just want to let him see it." And then I'm like, huh? And I look up and his deck is gone. And so I know all I have to do is just pass and he decks out for the win. And I'm like, yo. And everyone freaked out. It was such an incredible game. I love it.
So cool.
It's stories like that are the most fun. And I get so much out of having those stories and those experiences from regionals. And there's no other place like it. I'm excited that, Johnny, this is your first regional. You'll finally get to experience this.
I'm super excited.
You'll be addicted, I think, day 1. I think
it's lots of fun.
Sure.
It's so good. Also, I gotta add another plush to the collection. I think it's mandatory.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to check out some vendors. I've been wanting to see about like some of like the, I don't know, like cool stuff that you can find there, because I'm sure there's going to be like cool stuff that just like is harder to find online or like in stores, like comparatively. And I'm really excited for that too. Like, just, I don't know.
Sometimes you see famous people. I got to meet Heather from Full Grip at Charlotte last year.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Dude, super cool person. Like, it was a brief interaction, but I was like, dude, you're like my favorite part of pre-release season, because like it's just exciting to see like the way she plays, and like even seeing her more on like the Tricky Hideout channel is like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is a fun person, and meeting her, like, this is a good person, and it's cool that you're getting a platform.
Yeah. The vendors are really neat because it's like a lot of shops, but it's also like a lot of like niche vendors.
Yeah.
So like you won't only see like things like Troll and Toad or whatever, like these big like online vendors that are like well known, but you'll also see like smaller shops that have like different niche goods, or like different, like there was one at Baltimore, I wish I could remember the name of them, but their whole thing was Japanese import stuff.
Ooh.
So like not just like Pokemon
Very
Center
topical.
Japanese, but also just like Japanese companies that make Pokemon stuff that are like a little bit different, like ramen noodle cup toppers and like stuff like that that are like really interesting.
That's cool.
So it's like things like that you won't really see in person unless you're at like an event like this.
That's super cool.
Oh, that's right. I gotta find my Trapinch hand puppet there.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
That's so sick. That's exciting though. Like, the vendors are awesome. There's so much to love about a regional like that. Is there anything we're kind of nervous about? Anything that we're like, oh man, if I could, I don't know how this is going to turn out exactly? Or do we feel just like that confident? I feel pretty good.
I want any Terrapagos Buffalant deck. Stay away.
Stay far away
Stay
from
away.
me. Stay far away.
Mm-hmm.
I think pretty much every matchup to me at least feels like at least somewhat navigable. But that
Yes.
matchup, it's like if they get 2 Buffalants down, it's chalked. Like it's really, really hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it's an uphill battle. I think it's like probably the deck's worst matchup.
Definitely. You have to what, like
Um,
boss single Buffalant and just hope they can't get it back?
Pretty much. Like
Yeah.
Or like Soblock?
it's so tough. It's so tough to play around it. Like
You can Soblock a fan rotom, I guess. I don't know.
Like I think your route is to like Pikachu 3 times or like
Jeez,
do
that
some
feels
Clefairy
gross.
shenanigans.
That feels rough.
But it's like if they play Bear or if they play Bravery Charm at any point, you're chalked. Like
This
it's
is
really
why
hard.
this is
Oh
why
my
we
God,
need to
that's right,
reprint Echoing Horn so that we can just Echoing Horn Ditto back on the bench, gust it up, and Soblock the transformative start.
Would be
Ditto.
so good. Split me for 10, baby. Do it.
They can't. Oh, true. Split me for 10, and then I'm not doing any damage because of the Bufalants.
Mm-hmm. See,
it's pretty good.
Echoing Horn.
Bring back
targeting whistle,
Echoing
you gotta
Horn,
do
my
it.
beloved.
I miss
I
it.
need-
I miss it
I
all the
need-
time.
An IRL Echoing Horn. I think that would go
Ah!
so hard. I need that so bad. I might have that 3D printed actually. I know a guy.
Ooh.
I might see about that. I think that'd go crazy. Oh man. Awesome.
Other than that, though, it feels like the matchups are fine. Like everything is like
Yeah.
navigable. It's like 40-60 at worst.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm
be confident, play clean at that point.
Yeah. I'm comfortable in it. Like, I mean, at this point now, it's just, continue to play to, like, know your lines and practice your, prize mapping and
Yeah.
your prize checking and all of that. But, like, beyond that, I mean, it's not going to feel much different otherwise. Like, it's just another deck. So it's just another game of Pokemon.
Yep.
It's just a slightly different
Mm-hmm.
venue and a slightly different vibe to it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Or I guess maybe very different venue and vibe.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah.
I'm also really hype about just like and this is more like the selfish, like me as a person and as also like a creator. Like I'm very selfishly looking forward to just the vibes of hanging with my buds and playing and getting like cool footage for like
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try really hard to make a vlog out of this one.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm enlisting everyone to get footage as much as I can. I just bought a new SD card that's like 128 gigs just for this trip, just to make sure that we've got all the space for footage. And like, I'm looking forward to just making it like a whole vibe, which is so corny to say, but like, I don't care. The atmosphere is unmatched, and even something as simple as like, I think if we're able to set it up, I think we talked about next week having the bonus episode of the show, or even I guess like the main episode, because we're not going to be able to do a main show and a bonus. But like if we're able to do something like we were talking about having like a watch party for a Pokemon movie next weekend, like while we're in the Airbnb, like the night before, and just kind of like having our reactions up as well as like what's going on the screen. And like it's that kind of stuff that I'm looking forward to, is like the memories we're about to make, the fun stories we're going to get to tell, and being able to hopefully capture a good amount of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Super exciting stuff. Any closing thoughts before we move on to the bonus episode?
None from me. Yeah.
None here.
I think
Cool.
covered everything.
Yeah, sweet. Then we'll go ahead and do that. Remember, go over to patreon.com/terminalcreative to see our bonus content. It is $5 a month. It's the cost of a single pack of cards. It helps support the show. And it'll hopefully get us to the point where we can get more gear, be able to pay our guests for coming on, and also like other good stuff like that. Get the scenery better looking. I have a lot of really cool improvements in mind in the near future, and Patreon directly supports that type of stuff. So go on over there, get early access to the show, get access to the bonus content, and also like, comment, subscribe. If you're new around here, let me know what you're taking to Atlanta in the comments below and what you're most excited for about the Atlanta tournament in the comments on YouTube and on Spotify. And we will see you all in the next one. Peace out, guys.